And
I
that
know.
place is off the hook. I mean, there's
I know.
constantly cases and just wild things happening there.
So many like gnarly meth heads, and they're just like getting off scot free, putting their kids in ovens and stuff. I mean, it was like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is like the darkest, most gothic, southern gothic town like in history. And
plus 3 more. All disappeared in the last 10 years, no results.
Well, I hear innocence and I hear evil. But sometimes evil walks away. You should never have gotten away with what you did. Quite frankly, sir, you have to pay for that.
hello?
What's up, Tanya?
Is that Brittany behind you there?
It's not. Everyone thinks it's Britney. So it's this wrestler girl named Mandy Rose, but she looks
Hell
like
yeah.
Britney in a lot of ways. So
Hell yeah. This
she,
decor is awesome. I just want to, those like games you used to play with when you were a kid, like it'd be like, oh, find the wrench, find the thumbnail, find the sewing kit. And it's like a crazy image and you have to look and pick apart all the little
yep.
things. Well, that's your place.
Well, you know what? It's just starting because the Christmas tree is gonna go somewhere in this space too. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning of it.
Love it. Love it.
Well, I'm glad you got the approval. So I might have a future as a set decorator at some point.
Yes. Yes. Or I could hire you to decorate my bedroom.
There you go. That works too.
Yeah,
How are you? How's life? How's everything?
I'm good. Life's great. I'm so glad the strike is over, or
Yes.
basically over. I'm
Yeah,
so happy
totally.
to talk to people about this movie. It's like
Mhm.
didn't know if it was going to happen before the end of the year.
I mean, speaking of this movie, this was one of the weirdest experiences I had watching a movie. It's so weirdest and most fascinating. Like I can't think of the last time I saw a movie where I'm like, what am I watching? But I can't look away from it. It's that sort of feeling. I wonder what it was like reading the script for the first time. Like, were you following all of this? Like, what's going on? I just didn't know where it's going scene to scene. It was kind of amazing.
That's great. That's such a huge compliment. I kind of felt the same when I was reading it. I mean, two things. So like, I mean, I love like crime thrillers. Like any kind of puzzle that sort of unfolds
Mhm.
as you're investigating crime is cool. I'm usually pretty good at seeing things like way before they happen, just from like practice, or at least I think I am. This script, though, I was like legitimately surprised. And
Uh-huh.
secondly, Walden on the page is not the Walden that you see. So like I did not, in my wildest imaginations, like picture Walden like that. Like this is all Emile's work. So like showing up on set as a cop and doing these scenes where we're interviewing him, and all of a sudden like this Walden pops out. I was like floored. Like it was like almost comical. Like very surprising. So you don't get to be surprised often, on movies. Everything is like planned in advance. This was wonderful. So yeah, super surprising film for me too personally, even though I was in it.
I loved it. I mean, I've spoken to Emile in the past. I'm surprised, but not surprised in a way too.
Right.
He's just such an actor's actor. Like, when they
Mm-hmm.
tell you sometimes, oh, play, make it something of it. He literally did of this character
Yeah.
and everything. He took his own spin. And I thought it was such a fascinating thing because I found myself judging this character constantly. So much I'm like, okay, he's kind of a sad person, a lot of trauma and all that. But I'm like, wait, he's
Right.
getting laid. He's doing a lot better than I am, So at
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Yeah.
point, I'm like,
Right.
Walden's kind of a smooth operator at some point.
Yeah, and he's like the best at what he does, like in the world, and like
Yeah,
he's got this smoking hot babe that he just
right. That
can't
they're
deal
coming
with.
after him and they're like into him and like wanting to
I
get with.
know.
I'm like, yeah, this guy's doing a lot better than I am. So for sure, he's
I think that it's just because of his weird eccentricities that made him so like charismatic and attractive,
uh-huh.
because like he comes off as like a little mini. God, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I guess Forrest Gump's like the closest I could compare in like pop culture,
Interesting.
but
Yeah.
not really. Like yeah, there's something really unique about him. I think this character he plays, Walden, is like really unparalleled in terms of like recent pop culture cinema villains or vigilantes, I would say. And then just the level of violence this guy enacts is like out of fucking control. So like,
Yeah.
it's just such a weird dichotomy. So yeah, it's a really interesting character. I mean, it's like in the vein of Dexter what he did, but not really, because I think Walden's a whole other bag of worms. I would say probably more psychologically damaged than Dexter, even perhaps. I don't know, but
Potentially, yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm also wondering too if it caught you off guard, maybe in a script or maybe when it was filming. Like, what the hell is going on with this town? There's so much corruption. I mean, this is some small
This
town in
town's,
Georgia, and
I
that
know,
place is off the hook. I mean, there's
I know.
constantly cases and just wild things happening there.
So many like gnarly meth heads, and they're just like getting off scot free, putting their kids in ovens and I mean, it was like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is like the darkest, most gothic, southern gothic town like in history. And actually, where we shot in this place called Conyers, Georgia, which
Mhm.
is not particularly creepy, but but after a while, you're like, I mean, is this for real? Like, should I be worried? Like, who are these? Who are these people around? This is like a ghost town, you know? Yeah, I mean, Walden, I don't want to spoil the movie, but like he definitely brings the population level down like a lot
Literally.
for for a movie that's an hour and a half. Um, yeah, yeah, he certainly does.
And another weird thing was kind of like I initially thought this was like in the 70s. I couldn't tell the time period, the way he dresses and kind of
Hmm.
everyone else in that town, they seem kind of lost in time in a way
Yeah,
too. Like I couldn't tell
yeah,
if this is like modern time or kind of like older. It's like a town
yeah,
of its own, you know, away from society. It's almost like this sort of an Amish town, you
yeah.
know, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was kind of like the town is an invented name. I think Alexandria is not a real place, obviously. Like I think that was the director's intent. Like they wanted to, you know, some of these southern towns, these little tiny ones, really do feel like stuck in time. You know, they do feel like from another fucking century, and that was kind of their goal. Also for stenographers, I learned this
Uh-huh.
because we had a screening in front of like the National Society of Court Reporters, and we had
Oh
a screening in
wow.
front of like 300 stenographers, and they were like super stoked about the movie, first of all, because he's like their superhero now, or
Yeah,
their mascot, but they'd never been a movie about a stenographer before. This is the first time.
I can
And
imagine.
they were saying that like in small towns especially, like stenographers are like they work like 19 hours a day or something, because there's only one courthouse, and there's
Wow.
so many cases that have to be funneled into the district, and there's just short staff and not that many people that it's like a weird profession, not that many people go into it.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, they like lose their mind. I understand why Walden does what he does. He just like goes crazy
What a
looking at
like
all
here
this
we're
murder.
thinking we're typing with like emojis on their phone and all this, and these people are just like literally just going away day and night, you know, working this thing off. It's
I
amazing. Yeah, it's an
know,
amazing
I know.
profession. I couldn't do it. I mean, that's a skill set for sure. That's really unique.
I mean, they told us there too. The funny things is that, like, you know, you have to be emotionless when you're in the courtroom. You can't
Uh-huh.
react to anything ever because the jury can't see you reacting. You're typing everything out, so you're present for every second, but you're kind of like the ghost of the courtroom. That's kind of like what they call you. And then if you go through an appeal process, you have to retype everything again. So you have to like relive the horrific experience a second time. And according to these stenographers that I talked to after the screening, you know, they all said like this takes a huge mental toll on their like just general happiness, you know, levels. Like they carry this shit with them.
Uh-huh.
Uh all the time, and it messes with their head. Like they need like mental health help. Like they're starting to do that now, like offer some aid for these stenographers. I mean, we don't want more Waldens popping up,
No,
you know.
that's actually man, wow. That yeah, you
I
now
know, it's fucked.
put a perspective on people you don't really know about, right? So in that
It's
case,
so
that's
crazy. Yeah,
interesting. Was that
yeah.
the first time you played a detective?
Yes, detective. Yes, yes. I've upgraded now. I this time I was. I've played a cop before,
Uh-huh.
and you know I've played a lawyer of sorts. I've been like on the stand, being interrogated, like prosecution and defense, but never a detective,
You know,
which is a little bit of an upgrade, which is
yours
cool.
was like, I thought she was pissed all the time. She was on a mission. Like Shane was kind of like cool and chill in a sense, and she was not to be messed with. I feel like, man, just looking at her,
No,
it's like, you know, don't mess around with her because she's gonna kick you in the ass or put you
I think she took her job seriously. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
dying. I mean, like every day there's a new dead body. It's you know, people are gonna start thinking something weird's going on. You know,
Yeah,
but she was supposed to be the cop who was like from LA or from like a big city,
I
and
could see that.
Shane West's cop was like more the small town cop that was like friends with everybody and used to it.
Uh-huh.
So that's how they kind of like balance each other out, you know.
Who do you think? I
I'd be
mean,
pissed too, though. Like, what's happening? You know?
I spoke to Shane just before the holidays too, so it's funny to see him in this role. But I was thinking, like, I wonder which one of you would be better in real life to be a detective, you or Shane? You know, I can't see Shane,
Me,
but of
me.
course, yeah,
No,
it
not of
just
course.
makes sense.
No, I think it's funny. Shane and I had like such a really good rapport. Like we didn't know each other
You
before
did.
the movie, so we like just showed up on set and like talked for had a coffee and then just started acting. You know, so to have to like kind of build a cop relationship that's supposed to have been going on for like years, in the course of one day, you never know like if you're going to get along. And I was a fan of his from his work and knew of him obviously, but yeah, but it was like real easy. He's awesome. We had like such a good, just easy way of talking, a really good back and forth, and it just made it super fun.
For a second, I thought there could have been a twist that you guys were having a thing, those two detectives
Oh,
having a thing too, which would have thrown the whole town off completely, but
that would have been crazy. Yeah.
didn't
And
go that
plus,
direction.
I mean, I don't want to give it away, but at the end, like there is no real mystery as to who's doing this
Yeah.
stuff. And the cops kind of accept that I mean, he sort of does them a big favor, so to speak. So there's like a weird understanding with Walden and the police department. So yeah, there's just some real surprising things in this movie. I have to say, it is, to be honest, if I look back on how I felt when I first read it to what I'm watching now, a year later, it's not at all the movie I expected we were going to make at all.
It's a heck of a movie, really interesting and fascinating, weird. All these descriptions fit this movie well. You did a great job, great cast all around, and fan of your
Thanks.
work. Hope to see more of you, Tanya,
Thank you so
in
much. I
crazy
appreciate
projects like this.
it. Me too. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.